Hey, how's it going everyone? I'm Jakejames Lugo, and welcome to the channel, where you'll find some of the most fair and honest game reviews out here. And the finale to my Star Wars month content on the channel is upon us. Thank you so much to everybody who's been checking out all the videos. If you've missed any of them, or if you haven't watched any of my Star Wars month content that's been going up all throughout May, make sure you check out some of the playlist stuff that I put here on the video, because there's a lot of stuff I know you're gonna love. Even if you're not a big Star Wars fan, there's still some great gaming videos and other discussions I know you'll get a kick out of. But with that being said, let's get right to the finale here and talk about a game that I've never played before this actual review. I've been dying to cover this for quite some time. So let's just dive right into Star Wars Republic Commando. Most of the time when we hear about a Star Wars game, it usually is about our favorite characters from the movies or the crazy battles between the Jedi and the Sith. But sometimes we get a different take on the Star Wars galaxy that focuses on the people at the ground level, such as the Battlefront games. But what about one from a very unique perspective? That's what LucasArts eventually came up with for the original Xbox back in 2005. Star Wars Republic Commando is a first-person shooter set during the days of the Clone Wars, more specifically between Episode 2 Attack of the Clones and Episode 3 Revenge of the Sith. For anybody that's not privy to what's essential for Star Wars fans to follow, this game is not considered canon to the franchise anymore. Instead, it's now part of the Legends content that's mandated by Disney. But we're not going to be deterred from taking a look at it regardless. The story here focuses on a group of 4 elite clone troopers called Delta Squad, who are genetically modified and trained differently from the rest of the Republic's clone army. They are called Clone Commandos, tasked with taking on dangerous missions for the Republic as they fight the Separatist Trade Federation in open warfare. You play as the leader of the group named Delta 38, and your squad mates are Scorch, the explosives guy, Fixer, a hacking and overall tech expert, and Sev, a master sniper and loyal soldier. Basically, these are the guys that you send in for the real tough covert missions, while the Jedi and the Republic armies storm the front lines. This is a cool concept because it really blows up the scale of what's happening during the prequel era, indicating that there's a lot more going on outside of what we see in the Star Wars movies. I say this, but ironically, the game doesn't take you to many locations. Things start off on Geonosis during the big battle at the end of Episode 2 there, and then move on to Kashyyyk before the events of Episode 3.
Eliminate target.
Shield systems failure in 4 minutes.
Remind me to leave the ship before we destroy it next time. Superdrive!
Now I have to say that I really like all the different characters that are part of this game, specifically from your squad, because every single one of your squad mates has a very distinct personality, even though they kind of fit these different archetypes we've seen in many other stories, but they're so distinguished from each other, and it makes it into a very fun group. Like, all the banter that they have is actually kind of cool. It kind of reminds me just a little bit of the Star Wars The Bad Batch cartoon that's going on right now on Disney+, where there seems to be a lot of inspiration from that show from Delta Squad and Republic Commando. You can see a lot of parallels between the two stories. But with the game specifically itself, that at least, their banter and their relationships and the way that they kind of support each other throughout all the missions you partake in, it's just very cool. It's just something that's very fun, and it kind of adds a little extra flavor to the narrative and everything that's been happening. It's not just so black and white with what's been going on with the Star Wars universe. Now, I should mention that you do run into a few other Star Wars characters throughout the entirety of the game. They're actually just some very minor characters compared to some of the usual faces we see in the films. You're not running into Obi-Wan Kenobi or Anakin Skywalker, but you do see General Grievous for like a real brief second, as well as also you run into Tarval, which was the actual other Wookiee character from Revenge of the Sith. He has a much bigger place in the mythos of Star Wars, and he actually appears in other video games. But you actually get to escort him in this game and interact with him in a much more deeper level compared to what you see in the movies or any other games and cartoons and stuff. I thought that was pretty cool, but personally for me, I would have loved to see some other characters that we're much more familiar with. I mean, there is a few surprises that I won't spoil here, but again, I felt like we could have gotten a little bit more of that. With that out of the way, let's get into the gameplay proper, because this gameplay is super unique. It makes it really stand out from the rest of the other Star Wars games that have come out throughout the years. However, is it any good? Unlike many other first-person shooters of the time, Republic Commando has a very strong focus on using your squad to get things done. Without them, you're just bantha fodder for the droid armies. You'll have to complete mission objectives while coordinating with your squad to engage battle droids, tank walkers, super battle droids, Geonosian guards, and much more. Being a lone wolf here isn't really a good idea. You can only take so much blaster fire before you go down, so being tactical is very important. Controlling yourself and your squad is surprisingly easy. The controls are similar to most other FPS games, so they're comfortable to use and easy to understand. Issuing orders to your squad is mapped to one face button on the controller. All you have to do is look towards something that your squad can interact with and hit the button to execute an order. Whether you want to have someone guard a spot for you for suppressive fire, or breach a door into the next area, it's very easy taking command of your squad. During firefights, you could change the combat tactics of your allies for any situation, telling them to stick by you or to go off on their own to fight at will. A lot of this reminds me of games like Rainbow Six, Ghost Recon, and even SOCOM US Navy SEALs, where the tactical parts of combat play a key role in how you proceed. It's not about running and gunning, but more about how efficiently you take down enemy units and complete your objectives. The only big difference here is that this game is set in the Star Wars galaxy, and honestly, it works out very well. Now, while I think this is a very unique and interesting approach, a lot of the game is plagued by technical issues that get in the way constantly. My biggest problem is how inconsistently strong enemies can be, especially in the later missions. Some of them feel like they could absorb all of your attacks and randomly one-shot kill you with ease, and yet sometimes they could appear dumb by just standing still and taking all of your attacks. It's super jarring and really throws off the momentum in some missions. This isn't helped by the fact that your weapons don't always feel as useful as they probably should be. For example, your standard blaster or sniper rifle doesn't always deal enough damage to enemies when they need to, which can lead to some pretty sticky situations.
Get yourself some better, Commando.
Yes, sir. On my way. Beautiful strike, sir.
Erase one. Sir, I'm detecting a transmission signature. From clone troopers.
I'll check it out. Don't get
One thing that stands out as the most annoying part of the game is fighting the super battle droids. They feel way too overpowered and are frustrating to deal with when they show up, and the game has a nasty habit of throwing a ton of them at you. The easiest way to engage is to throw an EMP grenade and attack with your whole squad. However, when you have to deal with more than 4 or 5 super battle droids at a time, it could be a problem. Other enemies you run into are challenging and require some finesse to bring down, but I find the super battle droids to be the ones that impact you the most throughout the game. I got shot down more times from engaging these things more than any other enemy. They would just power through most of my attacks until I was lucky enough to destroy them. And speaking of, if you get shot down in battle, get ready to wait there because you have to wait for your squad to revive you. This gets super annoying when it happens so quickly in combat. You could call one of your squad to run over and revive you. However, your squad could be a little dumb and ignore incoming fire from nearby enemies. This happens a lot and could cause your squad to get wiped out. I hated every time I would see someone run to revive me while completely oblivious to nearby droids that are shooting at their head. Luckily, you could change your orders to make it so that way they engage the enemy first before reviving you. But even then, I'd see my squad do the same thing over and over again. It gets very frustrating and can be super lame. There are other technical issues and bugs that I ran into during my game outside of the ones I've already mentioned. One of the ones that really stands out to me that could become really annoying is the hit detection and specifically the splash damage from different explosives, whether it's grenades or rockets thrown either by you and your squad or at the enemies that you're fighting. It just gets super annoying when you're in a firefight and all of a sudden you see an explosion or at least explosion about to happen and you feel like you're far enough away from it that you won't be affected by it, and then all of a sudden you'll get one shot down because of that explosion, even though it just visually it looks like you're far away. And at the same time, it could also happen to some of your enemies when you're chucking a grenade or when you're firing a rocket. All of a sudden, your enemies like the super battle droids or some of the Genoshans will be totally cool. They'll just continue walking and fighting you. It just gets super awkward and super weird and super frustrating towards the later half of the game when some of the firefights tend to be really difficult. And like I mentioned before, and I'll touch on it again, the strength of enemies just seems very inconsistent. Whether it's the super battle droids, the Genoshans, the regular battle droids, or some of the bosses, quote unquote bosses that you run into. One of the ones that stands out to me is the guards that you find with General Grievous towards the later half of the game. In some cases, these guys are like tanks, they just eat your stuff and they're super fast moving around. And then in other instances, they just stand there idly or just like hang around and just don't really do anything, don't even really attack you. And they just eat your bullets and just go down. It's just really weird, it's jarring, it's awkward, it just doesn't work, especially with the flow and the momentum of the game up to that point. So now that we've covered the gameplay in totality, let's talk about some of the post-game content or the extra stuff that should be in here. Key word, should be in here. I nitpick at many things with the gameplay of Republic Commando, but the most disappointing aspect here is the lack of post-game extras. Don't get me wrong here, there are unlockable videos in the menu that offer a behind-the-scenes look at how Republic Commando was made. It's neat seeing the process of how Delta Squad was brought to life and the creativity that went into adding a unique layer into the Star Wars mythos. However, it's not enough to make me want to go back through the experience again. Unfortunately, you don't get any special items or bonuses for completing the story that impact the gameplay itself. It would have been really cool to see some extra missions or even an epilogue to the story that maybe took place years after the Clone Wars. Apparently, there was supposed to be a sequel to Republic Commando that took place during the Galactic Civil War, which is during the original Star Wars trilogy. It was going to be called Star Wars Imperial Commando and probably would have been also made for the original Xbox. The game never got far in development, however, but some ideas were said to have been implemented into a follow-up book for the Republic Commando novels called Star Wars Imperial Commando 501st. I would have been totally down to see another game made with this stuff in mind, or at least teased in some way at the end of this game. But alas, it just wasn't meant to be.
Well done, Delta. The Wookiee defense systems are now online and available to destroy the Separatist cruiser. In the upper levels of each of the 4 bays, you'll find a Wookiee dual missile turret. Only with the combined firepower of all 4 turrets do we have the slightest chance of taking down this juggernaut. Get on it then, Deltas.
Why aren't we moving?
Save the button.
Oh, sorry, sir.
It's kind of funny and very cool seeing how much of an influence this game had on other Star Wars media, including Star Wars Battlefront 2, where you could play as clone commandos in that game, and also Star Wars The Clone Wars TV show. You actually get to see Delta Squad in that show, so it's pretty neat to see the parallels and the connections here in various shows and media. I actually like stuff like that. However, even though that's an interesting thing, especially for Star Wars fans like me, it just kind of sucks because there's no other good, interesting post-game content when you finish the main story. There's no bonus missions, there's no like extra changes that you could do to some of the missions already in there. I would have loved to see things like that. It just feels like with the Star Wars galaxy, you have such a wide playground and a whole bunch of neat ideas and creative concepts that you could pull from all over the place to implement into something like this. It just would have made it so much more of an interesting experience and really had a really awesome payoff after going through the main story, but that's just wishful thinking for someone like me. I mean, let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. I feel like we could have gotten some other cool like alternate bonus missions, maybe stuff set in the Galactic Civil War like I mentioned, or even like extended universe stuff. It just would have, you could have gone wild with this type of thing, but alas, the game is what it exactly is. So after having covered just about everything there is, can I recommend that you play Star Wars Republic Commando? Real talk, people, I can only give this a recommendation for those who are already big Star Wars fans beyond the surface level. If you're someone who isn't really deep into the franchise already, then don't count on this game to make you into a big Star Wars fan. I feel like you're going to miss a lot of the nods and the fan service that's here, let alone appreciate where this game takes place in the Star Wars timeline. As a game, it looks very edgy and cool, and I would definitely say it offers a unique style of gameplay that you don't often see in Star Wars games. But the technical issues and the frustrating parts of the experience I feel will stand out way too much for some people. All of that aside, this game is now considered Legends content, so you won't be missing too much if you decide to skip over it.
Something must have spooked those crits. Slavers!
It's a Trandoshan patrol.
Take them out.
Scabroids.
Nice shot. Distract 1, Trandoshan.
And there you go, guys. Those are my thoughts about Star Wars Republic Commando. Again, this was a great way to end my Star Wars month content as a cool, nice finale. This being the latest Star Wars re-release that's come out. I actually have to mention that I did play this off the PSN version, which I played on a PlayStation 5. You could also get it on the Nintendo Switch, the Xbox One, and on PC. But for me personally, PS5 is like the best available hardware for me right now, and I figured that'd be the best representation of this game currently at the moment. But of course, as always with any game that I review on this channel, that's just my opinion about Star Wars Republic Commando. Let me know your own thoughts about this game down below in the comment section. Tell me, are you a fan of Republic Commando? Have you gotten a chance to read any of the books that take place after the game? What are some other Star Wars games that you want to see get that re-release treatment? Which are the ones that we just haven't seen in a while? I mean, personally for me, if I had to choose one, I would say Star Wars Rogue Squadron, but that's just me being a fanboy. Maybe one day I'll get to that game and do a full review about it, but regardless though, talk to me about that stuff down below in the comment section. And also let me say too, thank you so much to everybody for watching the Star Wars Month content. Give me your thoughts down below in the comment section as well. I mean, it was just something awesome where I got to talk about something that was not only just blending my love for gaming, but also my love for Star Wars too. So thank you to all the fans and everybody else who's been subscribing and checking out the channel because of it. And I will see you guys again very soon. Don't forget and always remember, the Force will be with us. Always. Thanks a bunch for watching the video. I really appreciate it a ton. I'll have more videos for you to enjoy here on the side that I know you'll love. Make sure you subscribe to the channel and hit that bell icon too. Don't forget to visit my Patreon linked below for early access to new videos every week, and join the Discord server too. It's linked in the description box below. You'll definitely love being a part of it. Thanks again, peace out, and stay epic everybody.